I did not accompany them. In December 2005, with inspiration and personal intervention from my dear friend who could not be with us tonight, Chaim Shiran of Tel Aviv, my wife Susie, my daughter Nessa, and I traveled to Morocco for what would become a life-changing journey. We began a friendship then with the last Jewish guide in the Arab world, Raphael David El-Malek. I miss very much being here this evening. Rabbi told us a remarkable story of his late king, who had resisted the Nazi-inspired Vichy French harsh anti-Jewish legislation and had insisted on protecting his Jewish subjects, as he always had done. And the net result, in Morocco at least, all of the 250 to 300,000 Moroccan Jews then residing in the country were alive at the end of World War II. Nowhere else, where fascism had reigned, could such a statement be made. And the number of heads of state who stood up courageously to protect their Jewish fellow citizens was almost nil. But I had never heard this story before 2006. And I had then been a student and teacher of Jewish history for decades. Kivunim travels all over the world. And beginning in 2006, we started our annual travels for 12 to 14 days to Morocco, preceded by study of its history, culture, religious life, and Jewish life and experience. We would bring groups of teachers in the summer and college students during the year. But the story of the king never left me. I wondered why it was no one outside of Morocco knew this story. We were facing Holocaust denial in large parts of the Arab world, while here we had a story of a Muslim king, a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, risking this all to protect his Jewish subjects from what would become known to the world as the Shoah, as the Holocaust of European Jewry.
ויצרור בצרור החיים את נפשם וישים כבוד מנוחתם וילווה אליהם השלום ועל משכבם שלום בכלל הרחמים והסליחות וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן.
And students of Kivunim, to carry on the example and the work of your grandfather, His Majesty King Mohammed V of Morocco. These commitments are conveyed through this kata of the Buddhist tradition, which was given personally to Kivunim by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. The kata, a simple cloth, carries and accumulates blessings from one person to the other until all are conveyed to you, Your Holiness, for the future empowerment of the model of coexistence, which is and will forever be the Kingdom of Morocco.
I would now like to call upon the United States Ambassador for Religious Freedom. The program says tolerance. It's a stronger title. United States Ambassador for Religious Freedom, David Saperstein, who has graciously agreed to be with us this evening to represent the government. David.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. It is an honor for me to speak on behalf of the President of the United States, President Barack Obama, to welcome our honored guest from Morocco, Her Highness Princess Lalla Hasna, granddaughter of King Mohammed V and sister of King Mohammed VI, whose active engagement in protecting the environment and whose exemplary service as President of the Moroccan Archaeological and Patrimony Association reflects her keen appreciation and dedication for preserving the physical and cultural heritage of her country, a central theme of tonight's celebration. Well, the significant ways that his grandson continues his legacy of actively promoting tolerance. We admire and appreciate this king's efforts to promote tolerance both within Morocco and across the region. Moroccan efforts to counter violent extremism are laudable. Morocco is training imams across West Africa in the values of religious tolerance. Morocco is taking a leadership role in demonstrating that Muslims and Jews and others can peacefully and productively coexist, as they do in Morocco's religiously diverse society. The king denounces ISIL's barbaric treatment of anyone who does not agree with them, including non-Muslims, Shia Muslims, even many Sunni Muslims who are members of communities that have been the victims of ISIL's atrocities. The King's 2009 statement on the Holocaust was both historic and prescient. We live in a time that is not neutral, he said. A time in which the collective imagination of all of our societies is also fueled by the prospect of exclusion and failure when it comes to the promises of dialogue between our civilizations, our cultures, and our religions. It was a warning for today of how vital the commitment to tolerance, the hand of cooperation that he exemplifies, is needed today. That legacy has engendered the freedom for Moroccan students to host as one of the first ever colloquia in the Arab world on the study of the Holocaust in 2011. In 2014, a campaign was created in Morocco to condemn criminal acts committed by terrorists in the name of Islam. Mashi Bismiti, or not in my name. The initiators of this campaign said, these are ignoble acts which cannot under any circumstances be attributed to Islam, yet they are being committed in our name. This Not in My Name campaign met with instant success, garnering 4,000 members in only 48 hours, hundreds of young people publishing Not in My Name photos on Facebook. I especially like the comment from one young Moroccan. We are all Mashibasmiti because we reject the idea that killing and horrible crime should be committed in our name and in the name of Islam, a religion committed to peace and love. In January, King Mohammed will co-host with the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies a conference of Marrakesh pulling together Muslim scholars from all over the world. The United States will participate, represented by Acting Special Envoy to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Arsalan Suleiman. Actually, Arsalan is no longer acting. He is the Special Envoy. And our Special Advisor for Religious Minorities in the Near East and South Central Asia, Knox Thames, one of our nation's most distinguished experts on international religious freedom, and other senior United States officials. Their presence is building on the 18 months of our intense efforts to address the plight of religious minorities since the ISIL crisis broke on the Nineveh plain. and building on our years of support for such communities throughout the regions. The current King Mohammed is constitutionally designated as Defender of the Faithful, but that has long been interpreted to apply to members of all of Morocco's religious communities, and he has been firm in his desire to continue the work of his grandfather, including their commitment to building bridges between Muslims and members of different religions, most particularly the Jews. Let me express our appreciation for that. The Jewish community in Morocco is quite small now, an estimated 3,000 to 4,000 people. Compare that to after World War II, when 1 in 10 citizens were Jewish, but it remains the largest and perhaps the most vibrant Jewish population in the Arab world. And that is because of the freedom which it has been given. The monarchy continues to support the preservation of Jewish heritage in Morocco, a remarkable accomplishment of providing funding to the rehabilitation of synagogues and cemeteries throughout the country, enhancing Morocco's religious and cultural heritage, affirming and protecting the extraordinary history, nearly 2 millennia of Jewish life, and through doing so creating a vivid symbol of tolerance. Private Jewish schools teach Jewish and Muslim children side by side. The government funds the study of Jewish culture and its artistic, literary, and scientific heritage at some universities. Annual Jewish commemorations take place, and Jewish visitors regularly visit Jewish sites. The Jewish Community Hospital provides care to low-income citizens regardless of religion. I hope you can see Morocco's example of how it treats its Jewish citizenry in history as a model for how to treat all minority groups, not only within Morocco, but throughout the Arab and Muslim worlds. Allow me to step back from the specifics in Morocco to view the importance of its past achievements and current efforts in a global context. Like most Jews, I know all too well that over the centuries, the Jewish people have been a quintessential victim of religious persecution, ethnic cleansing, demonization. We have learned firsthand the cost to the universal rights, security, and well-being of religious communities when good people remain silent in the face of such persecution. That is one of the key reasons why I cannot remain silent today when we see historic Yazidi other communities in Iraq and Syria being devastated, when we see Baha'is in Iran, Tibetan Buddhists in China, Shia Muslims in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, Rohingya Muslims in Burma, all victims of governmental or societal discrimination, harassment, persecution, or physical attacks. And that is the reason I am so happy to be here tonight, because of the power of the symbol of tolerance, protection of the Jewish community that this country represents. Even more, religious freedom faces daunting and alarming challenges in too many places across the globe. 75% of the world's population lives in countries where religious freedom remains seriously limited. The United States is committed to advocating for freedom of thought, conscience, and belief, for the protection of religious minorities, for the rights of individuals to practice, to choose to change their faith safely, to not only live their faith through worship, but through teaching, preaching, practice, and observance, but to choose to hold no religious beliefs at all. The challenge before us is how we, government officials, faith leaders, practitioners, together can resolve the major conflicts today and bring peace to communities through interfaith dialogue and cooperation. Indeed, one of the most effective antidotes to hate, violence, and injustice is exactly what Morocco represents: the power and the effectiveness of the world faith communities working together. When we can work together in our vast numbers, we can achieve things none of us can achieve alone. When we can act together effectively, it can be an exponential increase to what any single religious community in any country can do. As President Obama said in his weekly address on December 12th, one of the most important things we can do is to stay true to who we are as Americans. Terrorists like ISIL are trying to divide us along lines of religion and background. That's how they stoke fear. That's how they recruit. And just as Muslims around the world have to keep rejecting any twisted interpretation of Islam, all of us have to reject bigotry in all of its forms. I'll say it again. Prejudice and discrimination helps ISIL, and it undermines our national security. In our engagement and openness to hear and learn from each other that Kivunim represents, we enrich ourselves, not only in learning about others, but in including those with whom our lack of understanding had long bred mistrust and alienation. In the very act of meeting and sharing and dialoguing and working together to bridge the divides and enhance cooperation, we are modeling the kind of world of which we dream and which we strive to create. That is precisely what King Mohammed V and VI have done and are doing at their respective crucial moments of human history.
I dedicate this song to His Majesty the King of Morocco, Mohammed VI, and to all of his subjects, to whom I remain faithful to the heart and to the mind.
Ve
זמן פסק זמן בונה את עולמו פורח בגלו
الإنسان هو إنسان ضائع في هذا الزمان يبني عالمه يزرع ورد البستان
בליבי, ברוחי, בחיקי, בנפשי, ארצנו, דמנו, חיינו, נפשנו,
عالمنا في جسدي في روحي في عقلي أرضنا أنت في دمي أنت في روحي أنت معي أنت ملح البحر النور